Have you ever stood in a room full of hundreds of people, smiling through the pain, only to have the person you loved most in the world tear you apart with words that cut deeper than any knife? Stay with me until the very end of this story, because what the groom did next will change everything you think you know about family, sacrifice, and truth. And if this story touches your heart even a little, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so we can keep sharing stories that remind us we are never alone. I was 28 years old the night my sister humiliated me in front of 500 guests. My name is Elena, and for most of my life I had been the quiet one, the reliable one, the one who never asked for anything. My younger sister, Sophia, was the opposite. She was bright, beautiful, and always the center of every room. Our parents had died in a car accident when I was 19 and she was 16. From that day forward, I became both sister and parent. I dropped out of college, took 2 jobs, and held our little family together with nothing but stubborn love and sleepless nights. Sophia never saw the bills I paid in secret. She never knew that the money for her private university, her fancy apartment, her designer clothes, and later her dream wedding all came from me. I worked as a night shift nurse and cleaned offices on weekends. I lived in a tiny 1-bedroom apartment with peeling paint and a refrigerator that rattled like it was dying. I told everyone I preferred a simple life. The truth was I had given every spare dollar to her future. Sophia always believed I was just unambitious. She would laugh at family gatherings and say things like, "Elena is happy being ordinary. Some people are born for greatness, others are born to support it." I smiled and stayed quiet. I thought love meant protecting her from the weight I carried. The wedding was held in a grand ballroom downtown. Crystal chandeliers, white roses everywhere, 500 guests in their finest clothes. Sophia looked like a princess in a gown that cost more than my car. I stood beside her as maid of honor, wearing a simple lavender dress I had bought on sale. My hands were shaking, but I kept smiling for the photos. Everything fell apart during the toasts. Sophia took the microphone, tears already shining in her eyes. The room went quiet. She thanked our parents who were watching from heaven. She thanked our relatives. Then she turned to me. "And of course, my big sister Elena," she said, her voice soft and sweet. "She has always been there, in her own way. Some people dream big. Elena taught me that it's okay to stay small. She never chased anything. She never built anything. She just existed. And somehow, that was enough for her." A few people laughed politely. Others looked uncomfortable. Sophia continued, her smile never fading. "I used to feel sorry for her. Watching her work those long shifts, coming home exhausted, never having anything to show for it. But tonight I realized something. Not everyone is meant to shine. Some of us are meant to be the background so others can glow. Thank you, Elena, for being my background." The room erupted in applause. People raised their glasses. I stood frozen, the blood draining from my face. 500 pairs of eyes were on me. I could feel the pity, the judgment, the quiet agreement that yes, I was the lesser sister. My throat closed. I wanted to disappear through the floor. I forced a small smile and nodded, because that is what I had always done. I swallowed the humiliation the way I had swallowed every sacrifice. I sat back down, staring at my untouched plate. The rest of the evening blurred. Music played. People danced. I stayed in my seat, counting the minutes until I could leave without making a scene. Then the groom stood up. His name was Daniel. He was quiet, kind, the kind of man who listened more than he spoke. I had only met him a handful of times. He walked to the center of the room, took the microphone from Sophia's hand, and looked straight at me. "I need to say something," he began. His voice was steady, but I could see the emotion in his eyes. "Before I married Sophia tonight, I made a promise to myself that the truth would not stay hidden any longer." The room grew quiet again. Daniel turned to the crowd. "Most of you know Elena as the quiet sister. The one who works nights. The one who never asks for attention. What you don't know is that 3 years ago, when I was at my lowest, it was Elena who saved my life." A soft murmur moved through the guests. "I was in the hospital after a bad accident," he continued. "I had no family nearby. My insurance was a mess. I was alone and terrified. Elena was my night nurse. She stayed past her shift more nights than I can count. She talked to me when I couldn't sleep. She fought the hospital for better care. And when I was discharged with nowhere to go and no money, she let me stay on her couch for 2 months while I got back on my feet. She never asked for anything in return. She just said, "People help people. That's how we survive." Tears were already sliding down my cheeks. I had never told anyone about those months. I had never wanted credit. Daniel looked at Sophia, then back at me. But that is not the only secret. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. A few weeks ago, while helping Sophia go through old family documents for the wedding, I found something. Bank statements, transfer records, receipts, everything pointed to one person. He held the paper up. Elena paid for Sophia's entire university education. She paid the deposit on Sophia's first apartment. She paid for the wedding dress, the flowers, the venue, the catering. Every single dollar of this beautiful night came from her. She worked double shifts for years so her sister could have the life she deserved. And she never said a word. The silence in the ballroom was absolute. Sophia's face had gone pale. Her hands trembled around her champagne glass. Daniel's voice softened. Elena has spent her whole adult life making sure the people she loves never feel the weight she carries. Tonight she was called ordinary. Tonight she was called the background. But the truth is, she is the reason any of us are standing here. She is the strongest person I have ever known. He turned fully toward me. Elena, your secret is out. You are not the background. You are the foundation, and this entire room owes you more than applause. We owe you honesty. For a long moment no one moved. Then, slowly, people began to stand. First a few, then dozens, then the entire ballroom. The applause that rose was different from the earlier polite clapping. It was deep, sustained, and full of something that felt like respect. Sophia was crying openly now. She walked toward me, the microphone still in Daniel's hand, and dropped to her knees in front of my chair. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I swear I didn't know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." I pulled her into my arms. For the first time in years, I let myself cry without holding anything back. All the nights I had spent alone, all the birthdays I had skipped, all the quiet pride I had swallowed, poured out of me in that moment. She held me tightly, repeating the same words over and over. "I'm sorry. I'm sorry." Daniel stood nearby, watching us with quiet eyes. Later that night, when the guests had gone and the ballroom was almost empty, he found me on the balcony. "I didn't do it to embarrass her," he said softly. "I did it because you deserve to be seen. Really seen." I looked out at the city lights. I never needed the credit. I only needed her to be okay. He nodded. "And now she knows what it cost." That changes things. In the weeks that followed, everything shifted. Sophia and I began talking the way we should have years earlier. She started working part-time to help with the remaining wedding debts I had quietly carried. She asked me about my dreams for the first time in a decade. I told her I still wanted to finish nursing school, maybe specialize in trauma care. She listened, really listened. I still live in the same small apartment, but it no longer feels empty. On quiet evenings Sophia comes over with takeout, and we sit on the floor like we did when we were girls. Sometimes we cry, sometimes we laugh until our sides hurt. The past cannot be erased, but it can be understood. And understanding, I have learned, is its own kind of healing. If there is one thing this story has taught me, it is this: the people who love you the most are sometimes the ones who hurt you the deepest, not because they are cruel, but because they never truly saw the weight you carried for them. And sometimes the quietest person in the room is the one holding everything together. Never assume you know the whole story of someone else's life. Kindness given in secret is still kindness. Sacrifice made without applause is still sacrifice. And the truth, when it finally steps into the light, has the power to rebuild what shame tried to destroy. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of someone you love or of the quiet battles you yourself have fought, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. There are so many more stories waiting to be told, stories of ordinary people who carry extraordinary hearts. Thank you for staying until the end. You are seen, you are valued, and you are never alone.